You're watching Sun TV, broadcasting to the world from studios in Providenciales, in the beautiful by nature Turks and Caicos Islands. Sun TV, your source for real news as it happens.
In our news bulletin today, Minister of Finance Washington Missick says government is working to reduce the number of taxes on the Turks and Caicos Islands, and he has warned business people against increasing goods by 15% when the new tax comes into place next month. He also said he is committed to creating jobs for the Turks and Caicos Islanders. We also have a story about the ban on the importation of pig and poultry products from the DR. I'm Iberly Abreu, and thanks for watching Sun TV News. Minister of Finance Washington Missick said there are too many taxes in the Turks and Caicos Islands, and he says government is working toward making the tax system here much more simple, and so that a lot of the existing taxes will eventually disappear. In an interview with Sun TV, Finance Minister Missick said that the proposed 15% tax on freight and insurance will only be a short-term measure to help raise about $5 million for the Treasury. But he stressed that the businessmen should not abuse the tax by increasing all goods by 15%.
To explain it to you, it is specifically and solely on insurance and freight. Now, we're moving towards modernizing the tax system, including the customs. Looking at customs reform. Everywhere else in the Caribbean, customs is based on CIF, cost, insurance, and freight. Turks and Caicos, I believe, is the only place, and I may be wrong, but I believe it's the only place where duties is based on FOB, that is without insurance and freight. And as a part of customs reform, we are moving towards CIF. Now, we did not include CIF at this time because the intention is to reduce the customs rate as a part of the Blue Ribbon Commission. We expect the customs rates will come down, and that would be a more appropriate time for us to introduce CIF. To introduce CIF at the moment would actually cause the price of a basket of goods to go up. And so we think in the short term, and this is a short-term measure, the 15% is far more palatable. And it's far more palatable because it should not really add any significant cost to a basket of goods for the household.
Still on the topic of the new tax, Honorable Missick, who is a former Chief Minister of the Turks and Caicos Islands, told Sun TV he is not a supporter of price control. However, he said that if some businesses wanted to raise their prices by 15%, customers should go to places whose prices are lower.
We, as a government, do not support, and this is a free enterprise economy, and price control is a disincentive to investment, and so it's not something that the government is eager to get involved in or will encourage. We could only appeal to the decency and good conscience of shoppers, of merchants, not to increase their merchandise beyond what the very minor increase in rate will dictate. Having said that, because this is a free enterprise economy, and I think it should be left to competition. Obviously, you've got people in the same business, so if somebody decides to jack up their price, that they should be punished by the consumer. The consumer can always walk or drive to the other store and buy the merchandise there cheaper. So I think that should be left to market forces.
Missick added that if there is any increase in prices, it should only be by a few cents. He gave an example of how the new tax will work when it is applied to a container of goods.
Have a 40-foot container coming in from Florida or wherever. Gets to Providenciales, the freight is $4,000. There's no insurance on it. Insurance is optional. That's the choice of the importer, whether they want the goods insured or not. And that's a function of their risk, their view of risk. So let us leave the insurance out for now. The container is landed here, it costs $4,000. 15% on the freight, $600. You've got thousands of items. If you consider a container full of soft drinks, how many? Just imagine how many cases of soft drinks in there. And if you start to spread the cost of $600 over literally thousands of cases of soft drinks, it works out to be in some cases less than 1 cent per item. Okay, and it generates about $4.5 million for the government, which goes a far way off in reaching our revenue target. So, if anybody is, my purpose for speaking to the public is to clarify the misinformation out there. If anybody is suggesting that they should hike the cost of their goods by 15% on the prices in their stores at 15%, that is called price gouging. And it is something that is despicable and shouldn't happen. The cost of goods on the shelf in a supermarket or anywhere else should go up imperceptibly, because this is an extremely small measure that we are taking to enhance our revenue, and it is a short-term measure.
The finance minister also disclosed what are some of the other taxes that will be introduced in the upcoming budget.
We have a 1% increase in accommodation tax starting the 1st of July. So accommodation tax is now gone from 11 to 12%. Right? And we had introduced in the legislature, in the last sitting or the sitting before that, a revision of the stamp duty ordinance. We are looking at further revision of the stamp duty ordinance that would capture landholding companies so that they pay the same rate of taxation as an individual would pay. We're looking at a general service tax on services, professional services, in October of 2013, and also increase in communications tax, that is for cable and internet, on October 1, 2013. These are all in the FSPS. We look at a new driver's license, what's called a temporary driver's license for tourists. So if you're renting a car, it's probably going to cost you another $30 to get a driver's license, which can be issued by the rental car company. I think those are the ones that are with in the FSPS.
According to Honorable Missick, because the Turks and Caicos Islands is already a high-tax country, government is committed to making sure that many of the taxes eventually go away. He explained that a Blue Ribbon Commission on taxation would be set up to deal with improving the whole tax structure.
The government is in the process of putting together a Blue Ribbon Commission. A technical assistance has already been identified, or has already been identified, yes. And we expect that the Blue Ribbon Commission should be in place by September. So come next year, 14-15, we expect that we will be able to roll out a new simplified, modernized system of revenue generation. What we're looking for is a sustainable source of taxation that is simple and progressive. So what I said about customs, I think I think in the interest of keeping the cost of living low, or reducing the cost of living, I would expect that duty rates will go down. As I said, this is a short-term measure. By 14-15, we hope to roll out a modern system of revenue generation. A lot of the taxes that we now pay now, I expect potentially that they could disappear. I believe we should be looking at ways of reducing the burden of taxation and not having so many taxes. But whatever we end up with, it would be simple, easy to administer, and progressive in that the consumer will be paying more. If you consume, you should pay more, right? And that is the system that I see happening. Also, at the same time, government are looking at ways to deliver services cheaper to the general public. We're looking at putting in a e-commerce platform that will allow people to be able to access passports and other important documents that they need online. Already you're able to pay some of your bills to government online through your credit card, and we're looking at expanding e-commerce. It would require significant new investment to build that platform, but that is something that we're committed to doing. I mean, I think the taxation system in Turks and Caicos is relatively high, and part of the whole modernization process is to reduce it, but to spread it across a broader base and to make it more progressive. So I don't think I don't think this is a low tax. I mean, in terms of direct taxation, yes, but in terms of indirect taxation, I don't think it is low tax. I think the amount of taxes we generate from the public here is quite high, and we need to find a way to lower it. That is why we need to modernize it and put it on a system where it's sustainable.
On the issue of jobs, Honorable Misak said he is committed to ensuring that jobs are provided for Turks and Caicos Islanders. He said that a number of projects are about to come on stream that will create jobs very soon.
I don't think you're going to feel the full impact of the turnaround until the construction activity really starts. Again, both in terms of the jobs that are directly related to construction, but also the spin-off in terms of the rent people. Because once the construction industry really starts to power again, you're going to find demand both in terms of for goods and services, but also for rental accommodation and everything else. But if you imagine, or if you remember when the island started to slow down, it took a while for things to hit bottom, and so it's going to take a little while to build back momentum, right? We've got, I can tell you, a number of projects that we're satisfied are fully funded. Some of them are being redesigned so that they are improved. Places like West Caicos, for example, I think there's no question about the ability of the developers to move forward and complete that project. The issue there, for example, is they're redesigning the entire project, including the marina, to make it larger and being able to accommodate bigger boats or yachts. So there's a lot of preparation work that's going on now that we won't see the results of until, say, late this year or next year. And so the challenge has been to satisfy in the short term the expectations of the voters, and by creating jobs. And I still think that is a challenge. It has been a challenge, and that has been the focus of my life every morning I get up. You know, and I think we're close to being able to achieve that.
This is Sun TV, real news as it happens. We'll be right back.
Life moves fast. It's extraordinary what you can see when you take a second look. Capture the extraordinary around you with Digicel's 4G mobile internet. Share the moment instantly with our super fast speeds on your mobile device. The internet as it was meant to be. Only with Digicel 4G. Digicel. Be extraordinary.
The Ministry of Environment and Home Affairs is reminding the public that there is still a ban on the importation of all poultry and pork products from the Dominican Republic into the Turks and Caicos Islands. The ministry is therefore urging residents not to buy any poultry or pork products imported from that country. The ban was implemented by Cabinet in 2008 as a result of outbreaks of a low strain of bird flu and swine flu in the DR. According to government press release, the ban has remained in place due to the inability of that country to provide evidence to the World Organization for Animal Health that it is free of these diseases. It was noted that the ban must remain in place until the processing facilities, farms and labs in the DR have been inspected and ratified as disease-free. The press statement reminded importers that pork and poultry products coming from the DR will not be given clearance for landing until such time as the TCI obtains confirmation that the ban has been lifted. I'm Iberly Brewer, and thanks for watching SunTV News. Join us again tomorrow when we bring you real news as it happens directly to your computer or mobile device.